Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ralph Rangnick could be an important factor in Manchester United's chances of signing Antonio Rudiger. Rangnick has a good relationship with Rudiger's agent and brother, so that's beneficial. Sky Sports News said yesterday that Manchester United entered the race for Rudiger, and Antonio Rudiger reportedly rejected a contract extension offer at Chelsea. Rudiger's current contract expires at the end of the season at Chelsea. Real Madrid have held talks with Antonio Rudiger. PSG have expressed an interest, and Bayern Munich have also been in for him. Rudiger has been at Chelsea since 2017. He's made 110 appearances in the Premier League for Chelsea. Chelsea paid around £29 million for him from Roma. I'd love to see Rudiger come to Manchester United. Him alongside Raphael Varane would be a very good centre-back partnership because they complement each other very well. And let me put into the equation that Manchester United have done transfer business with Chelsea before. We got Matic off them back in 2017, and Manchester United also got Juan Mata from Chelsea back in 2014. Ralph Rangnick wants Amadou Haidara from RB Leipzig. Amadou Haidara loves Rangnick. Amadou Haidara has around a £33 million release clause. Rangnick knows the player well because Rangnick used to manage RB Leipzig. Revert back to the other week, it said Rangnick has a midfield plan at Manchester United, and it did mention his key targets, and that was Calvin Phillips, Jude Bellingham and Amadou Haidara. Rangnick told bosses at Man United that their midfield is weak in his interview for the job. Rangnick has to heavily invest next year if he's to succeed as Manchester United manager. Well, he has been given a £100 million transfer budget. Rangnick has enjoyed a good start to his managerial career at Manchester United. So far, he's unbeaten, and reflecting on the win against Norwich last weekend, that's back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Ralph. He's Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, Rangnick will take a consultancy role for a further 2 years. But if Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a chance he'll get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. But I can assure at the end of the season that Manchester United will get a permanent manager. There's been a few names linked with a permanent role at Man United. Not so long ago it said that Erik ten Hag is the favourite to become Manchester United's next permanent manager. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said Erik ten Hag is said to be interested in the Man United job in the summer, and Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Revert back to the other week, Edwin van der Sar spoke about Man United's interest in Erik ten Hag, and van der Sar believes Ajax could lose Erik ten Hag in the summer. Revert back to the other week, Roberto Mancini was also mentioned. It said Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Pochettino. But not so long ago, Roberto Mancini denied becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Brendan Rodgers was mentioned as well, and Pochettino has been spoken about. Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. Manchester United sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Man United finished 7th under the David Moyes era. Then Manchester United sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. Manchester United then sacked Mourinho after 2.5 years. Jose Mourinho enjoyed one good season at Man United because he did win 3 trophies in his first season. And just over 3 weeks ago, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after almost 3 years in charge. Solskjaer got sacked after the 4-1 defeat to Watford. Now, as you all know, Manchester United's first team players have returned to training after the Carrington training ground reopened. Now, revert back to Monday, Manchester United shut their Carrington training ground due to COVID. Manchester United were supposed to play Brentford yesterday night, but obviously the game got postponed due to a COVID outbreak at Manchester United. Now, Manchester United are supposed to play Brighton this weekend. I'm hoping that the game can go ahead, but yesterday he said Manchester United's game against Brighton is likely to be postponed after Brighton confirmed a COVID-19 outbreak. Quite a few games have been postponed due to COVID. Now, Manchester United are going to offload players next year. Obviously, you know the news on Anthony Martial. Revert back to last Friday, Anthony Martial's agent confirmed that Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Martial is demanding more game time and he's getting nowhere near enough game time at Man United. Martial's only started 2 games in the league this season. Atletico Madrid have offered a swap deal for Martial. Heard that Newcastle are the favourites to sign him, and Barcelona are also eyeing up a move for the want-away striker. Now, recently, Ralph Rangnick revealed that he's not spoken with Martial. Rangnick has told Martial to speak to him directly if he wants to leave the club. Martial is out with injury at the moment. I think he's close to returning now. Martial's only enjoyed one good season at Man United, and that was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Martial has scored 79 goals in 268 games in all competitions. You know, Manchester United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial from Monaco. Other players who I think will leave next year, I think Cavani's leaving. I also think Juan Mata will be leaving. I think Lingard will be leaving. I think Matic will be leaving. I think there's a good chance that Van der Beek will leave in January as well, because Van der Beek's not getting enough opportunities at Manchester United. I think the only way we can persuade Van der Beek to stay, and that's if he gets the opportunities he's been demanding under Ralph Rangnick, because revert back to Solskjaer, Van der Beek got nowhere near enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, he was frustrated. Pogba, if he leaves next year, he will leave in the summer. I can't see him leaving in January, midway through the season. Well, like I updated you on my last video, the Telegraph said today that Ralph Rangnick is planning for new midfield signings at Manchester United, with the expectation that Paul Pogba will leave the club. You know, Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back towards the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. Obviously, Pogba's not available at the moment because he's out with a thigh injury. He got the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. He's out until next year, but he's stepping up his recovery. He's Paul Pogba. Rangnick's already mentioned that he will not try to convince Pogba to stay if he wants to go. Tellez and Dalot, I think there's a good chance that they'll be leaving next year. I think Jones and Bailly will be leaving next year, and Dean Henderson has confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. Henderson doesn't get in goal now because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed that number one spot back. Henderson's only made 2 appearances this season. Revert back to earlier on in the season though, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. Towards the end of last season, Henderson got that number 1 jersey. And he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. Manchester United are missing quite a few players at the moment. But I'm hearing if the game against Brighton goes ahead at the weekend, then Varane could make his return. You know, Varane has been out of a hamstring injury. The second injury he's endured at Man United, Varane. Because revert back to earlier on in the season, he had a groin injury. He was out of a groin injury for a few weeks. Cavani could also make his return as well, because Cavani is close to returning from injury. Cavani had an injury earlier on this season. Lindelof, he's got a chest injury. Lindelof had to come off in the game against Norwich because he was suffering breathing difficulties and chest pains. Obviously, Lindelof was seen by the club doctor, and then Ralph Rangnick confirmed that Lindelof was okay. And Wan-Bissaka, he's got an injury at the moment. He came off injured in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. Martial, he's got an injury. Like I said, Pogba's still out. So they are the injuries Manchester United have got. And obviously we've got Juan Mata out with illness. Matic has had a cold. Manchester United have got very, very good players in their team. Look who we've got. We've got David De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper. De Gea's now back to his best because De Gea's done really, really well so far this season. De Gea got man of the match against Norwich last weekend. He made some very good saves in that game to deny Timu Puki. He also denied Kabat twice from two-headed chances. This season is De Gea's 11th season at Man United, so he has been a long serving. He's been with us since the Ferguson era. And, he has won everything domestically at the football club, and he's made over 500 appearances for Man United in all competitions. De Gea has got under 2 years left on his contract, and he receives £375,000 a week. Revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back, as he did decide to cut short his holiday by 2 weeks to fight for the starting place, and it did mention that De Gea was determined to fight for his Man United future. When De Gea eventually leaves Man United, I think he'll go back to Spain. The main reasons is because he was born in Spain, his relatives are from Spain, his girlfriend's from Spain, and he began his footballing career in Spain. And revert back to 2015, De Gea was very close to joining Real Madrid, but due to a fax machine, the deal didn't materialise. I think De Gea, by the way, will be impressed that Man United drew Atletico Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. He will be reuniting with them in February. Don't forget the draw had to be redone, but in the original draw, Man United drew PSG. I'm hearing that De Gea wants to spend many more years at Man United. So he may actually finish his career at Man United. But I don't think he will. We've got Dean Henderson, that's a good goalkeeper as well. We've also got Tom Heaton. I haven't really had much of a perception on him. Tom Heaton did make his first team debut in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys, because he did come on in that game. Tom Heaton was in goal for the pre-season games before the start of the Premier League season. To his credit, he did well. Manchester United got Tom Heaton on a free transfer from Aston Villa. I think Tom Heaton signed a 2-year contract with an option of a further year. And Wan-Bissaka, now I think he's a good right back defensively, but the attacking side of his game is not so good. Diego Dalot, he can be good when he wants to be. Dalot only seems to play when Bissaka's not available. Obviously, Dalot played against Norwich last weekend. He had to start because Bissaka wasn't available. I don't think he was that good against Norwich, Dalot. He was far superior in the games against Crystal Palace and Arsenal. He's our backup right back to Bissaka, isn't he? Last season Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan, so reflecting on that again, some experience. Man United got Dalot from Porto for around £19 million. I think Luke Shaw, he's a good left back overall, but Luke Shaw hasn't really proven how good he can be so far this season. And I'm shocked in that aspect because last season Luke Shaw was superb. There again though, Luke Shaw did well in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys the other week. He got forward well, got in some good positions, and he got the assist for the Mason Greenwood goal. I'm sure as the season goes on, Luke Shaw will regain his form. Luke Shaw's injury prone, which is a concern. I think Tellez is a good left back as well. He's played a lot of football in recent weeks because don't forget Luke Shaw had that concussion. Tellez, I don't think he was that good against Norwich last weekend. He did have a good chance in the game from that free kick, hit the crossbar. Tellez was far better in the games against Palace, Arsenal and Chelsea than he was against Norwich. The reason Man United brought Telles in was to provide competition for Shaw. And then when we brought Telles in, we seemed to get the best out of Shaw. But Shaw's not in good form at the moment, like I've mentioned. But revert back to earlier on in the season, Telles had an injury. Manchester United have also got Raphael Varane. That's a good centre-half as well. Man United have got Eric Bailly. That's also a good centre-half. Doesn't get in the team much, Bailly, though, does he? He lost his place in the team a while ago with the club signing Varane last summer, and obviously Lindelof's been preferred to Bailly. Bailly obviously had to come on against Norwich last weekend because Lindelof had to go off. Bailly started in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys the other week. He put a very good performance out in that game. I think Bailly's done well in all the games he's played in this season, apart from the game against Man City when Man United lost 2-0. My only element of concern about Bailly is injury prone. Well, towards the end of last season, he signed a new contract with Man United until 2024. There's an option of a further year. Harry Mcguire, he's good when he wants to be, but hasn't really proven how good he can be at Manchester United. I don't think Mcguire was that good against Norwich last weekend. He did have a good headed chance in that game from outside of the box, produced a good save from Krul. But apart from that chance, didn't really do anything. He was struggling to get the ball out from the back and all that. He was good against Crystal Palace the other week, was Mcguire, but that was the best game he enjoyed for a long time. Maguire's been very poor since he come back from that calf injury. Towards the end of last season, Mcguire had ligament damage in his ankle. I'm hoping we can get the best out of Mcguire under Ralph Rangnick. Manchester United got Mcguire for 80 million, so he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive signing at the club. Fred, I don't think he's a good player overall, but I've got to say he's been really, really good in recent weeks. And I'm hoping Fred can continue with these good performances, and then my perceptions will start to change on Fred. Fred was very good against Norwich last weekend. He was probably our best outfield player. Fred did very well in the game against Crystal Palace. He scored a stunning goal in that game late on. Wasn't only his goal against Palace why his performance was good, his overall performance was good, his movement was good, kept the ball well, got into good positions, and his passing was sublime. Fred made an impact in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, got an assist in that game and won the penalty. And Fred did well in the 1-1 draw against Chelsea. Manchester United got Fred for around 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago now. Like I said, Paul Pogba's a good player. Not only a good player, he's an imperative player. I can't wait to see Paul Pogba come back because he has been a big miss. Revert back to what I mentioned earlier on in the video. Donny van der Beek's a good player as well, but haven't had a great deal of a perception on him at Manchester United. Van der Beek's only scored 2 goals for the club, and he's been a Manchester United player for over a year and a half now, and reflecting on what we paid for him, you'd have expected him to start a hell of a lot more games than he has. Look what we paid for him, 40 million. If you put add-ons into the equation, we paid like 35 million up front. He's under contract to Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further year, and Van der Beek's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. We got Bruno Fernandez. That's also a very, very good player as well. He's one of our best players, and he's certainly one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. Fernandez has enjoyed a lot of poor games this season. I think Rangnick should consider dropping him. I can't believe how poor he's been in a lot of games this season, because revert back to last season, Fernandez was superb. But let me put into the equation that Fernandez starts the vast majority of Man United's games, so reflecting on that, he will become fatigued. Man United got Fernandez from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Fernandez has been a United player for almost 2 years now. He's won individual awards with the good performances he's put out for Man United before. And he has got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. The last goal he scored was the 3-2 win against Arsenal. I think the last assist he provided in the Premier League was the 3-0 win against Tottenham. So he's got to get back to his best, Fernandez. He really, really has. Jaden Sancho, he's a decent player. Sancho's done nowhere near as well as a lot of United fans expected, when he came in. But he does need time to settle in, Sancho, right? Sancho was poor against Norwich last weekend. But despite that, I still think he looks a better player than he did under Ole. Sancho's had some good games since Solskjaer got sacked. He played very well in the games against Villarreal and Chelsea because he scored in both of them games. So he scored 2 goals for the club so far. I thought Sancho was very good in the first half in the 1-0 win against Crystal Palace, but faded away in the second half. But revert back to Solskjaer, Man United couldn't get the best out of Sancho because Solskjaer was persistently playing him out of position. There was quite a few games Sancho didn't even play in under Solskjaer. Man United got Sancho in a deal worth 78 million with add-ons included. 73 million up front Man United paid. Sancho's got a contract with the club until June 2026 as an option of a further year. Sancho enjoyed 4 good years at Borussia Dortmund before, he signed for Man United. We've got Edinson Cavani, that's also a good player as well. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Don't forget Cavani played alongside Ronaldo in the 3-0 win against Tottenham earlier on the season. They did complement each other well. Cavani's current contract at Man United expires next summer, doesn't it? He's going next year, Cavani. I'm hearing Juventus are interested in him. Barcelona are keen on signing him in January, but only for a modest price. Earlier on this season, Cavani said he's interested in making a move to Barcelona. Well, Man United did get Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season's been his second full season at Man United. Marcus Rashford, I think he's a decent player overall, but for me, Marcus Rashford has not been the same player since he come back from that shoulder injury. Because he's enjoyed a lot of poor games since he come back from that shoulder injury. I think it's time for Ralph Rangnick to drop Marcus Rashford as well as Bruno Fernandez. Rashford was poor against Norwich last weekend. He got dispossessed far too many times. He was also poor in the game against Palace. I think he was poor in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, even though he did manage to get an assist in that game. He was poor in the first half against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but he looked better in the second half. Obviously, Rashford was playing alongside Sancho up top in the 1-1 draw with Chelsea, because obviously Ronaldo started on the bench in that game against Chelsea. Marcus Rashford's been part of the club for a long time though. He's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in our senior squad since 2016, and Rashford's got a contract with Man United until 2023. Mason Greenwood, he's a talented player as well. Greenwood's done well since he's come back. He didn't start against Norwich last weekend, but he did come on in the game. Greenwood played very well in the 1-0 draw against Young Boys. He scored a very good volley in that game. Greenwood also made an impact when he came on in the 1-0 win against Palace, because he got the assist for the Fred goal. So there you go. Don't forget Greenwood was out with COVID for a while. Greenwood made his senior debut for Man United back in 2019. He's been a United player since the age of 7, so he's been part of the club for a long time. And last season, Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract. And obviously Manchester United have got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo rescued Manchester United again against Norwich last weekend because Ronaldo scored the winner from the penalty spot. Ronaldo won the penalty because he got jabbed down by Max Aarons. Ronaldo now has 13 goals in all competitions since he re-signed for Man United, and he's got 802 goals in his career. And I did mention, didn't I, before that Anthony Elanga, he looks a good asset for the first team squad. Elanga obviously played against Young Boys the other week. I recall him having a good chance in the game, produced a good save from the Young Boys goalkeeper, and he came on in the 1-0 win against Crystal Palace, did Anthony Elanga. And I said a while ago that Amad Diallo looked a good asset for the first team squad. Amad Diallo played in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. I expect him to play a lot more in the first team than he has done, Amad Diallo. Let's put into consideration what Man United paid for him. We got Amad Diallo for 37 million with add-ons included. Man United paid around 19 million up front. We got him from Atalanta. So there you go. There's a lot of good players at Manchester United. So, I'm hoping Man United can win a trophy under Ralph Rangnick this season, because Man United have not won anything since 2017. So now guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.